Hello everyone.
Hello.
Today I am here to give my point of views on healthcare system improvement. So according to WHO, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely an absence of disease or infirmities. But if we take this definition as it is, but then there is no one in complete world that who uh, there is no one in complete universe who is completely healthy, because someone almost everyone is having something mental issues. So whether it's kind of depression or something like this, so we can say that health is basically a state where we are not having any kind of infirmity or any kind of medical issues or any kind of diseases. So uh, if we talk about current scenario of healthcare system of our India, then it's not in good state, because India is sixth biggest economy in the world, that is near about 135.13 trillion INR approximately. And India only contributed 1.26% of its complete GDP into its health sector, which is not so good, because we are having a huge population, that is 1.38 billion approximately. And if we are spending such a uh, little amount of money, then uh, we are not able to fulfill our needs. We are not able to cope up with our healthcare system needs. And if we talk about our world ranking, irrespective of our healthcare system, then we stand on 42. We stand on 42 position. That is not a good thing, because countries like uh, 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 Uruguay are also having a good ranking from us. So where even these are also developing country, and these are not as much developed as we are. The basic reason is because doctor to patient ratio in our country is 1.34 doctor per thousand citizen. It means approximately one doctor is for 1,000 citizens in India, which is very bad thing. So if we discuss about challenges faced by government in improving our system or healthcare system, is the first one and the major one is our population growth rate. India is having huge population growth rate, and uh, right now India is having population or second right now India is having second largest population in India, in world. And it stands on second position in terms of population, and we are having such a huge population growth rate that we are not able to cope up with all kinds of we are not able to fulfill our needs, and we are not able to give everyone a good medical care. So, and second one is we are not able to spread awareness among this huge population, because not everyone is literate, and we are not able to uh, give them information that what basically healthy person means. So it's quite difficult to give everyone knowledge about healthy person or healthy lifestyle. And third one is not everyone is able to access all kind of medical equipments or all kind of medical facilities. For example, not everyone is able to give a complete or what we can say, not everyone is able to give charges related to ultrasound, even a small reports, for example ultrasound. So the basic thing is, and for fourth one is absence of human power in our medical field. As we see that there is one doctor with 4,000 people in India, so that's not a good thing. And human power is also basically medical field is lacking human power, because not everyone not because we are not giving respect to our doctors, and we are not giving respect to our nurses. We can easily see the in today's world that somewhere in India the doctor is beaten by someone or some patients. So that's the basic reason we are lacking in human power of our medical field. So if we talk about health, how healthcare system of India is well in India is well, then healthcare system of India is basically divided into three sections: primary, secondary, and tertiary on basis of population. So if we talk about primary level, in primary level there is two subunits, that is subcenter and primary health center. In subcenter, we are having a subcenter is made for population of near about 5,000 persons, and primary health center is made for population more than 30,000. So in primary health center, there is near about 6 sub-centers. In primary health center, there is it's compulsory to have one MBBS doctor, uh, one unit of nurses, and a good. We are having a good laboratory and all these things, because it's deal with in villages and all or backward rural areas. So it's quite difficult to for doctors to, if they are not having good laboratory support, then it's not easy for doctor to give them a good what we can say, good medical we are not able to deal with every patient. So we divided it into into 3 major segments. And if we talk about secondary level, then there is CHC, that is community health center. It it deals with population of 1,20,000 approx. So it's compulsory to have one doctor, one dentist, one obstetric, one gynecologist, one anesthesia doctor, and means it's quite compulsory to have all kinds of doctors, so that that huge amount of population is because that huge amount of population is only dependent on that CHC. And if we talk about tertiary level, then it's hospital and medical colleges. Basically, these are like, if we talk about Medanta or AIMS, these are of tertiary level. And if we talk about sub-center, then these are like the unit of ASHA workers, that's the smallest unit. And if we talk about CHC, then these are the uh, government hospitals or government sub-centers, which are made in big cities. For example, in my area, CHC is in Panipat and sub-center is in my village, PHC in my neighboring, in my tehsil. And so this, and so according to me, there are few methods which can help government to cope up these kind of issues. The first one is higher investment in healthcare. According to me, government has to increase its investment in healthcare system, that they have to contribute more than 2% of their GDP in healthcare system. Because if we made a healthy nation, then we are able to make a good nation, or we can easily fulfill our dream of becoming a developed nation. And second one is state funded health insurance. Government in 2015 completely replaced that National Planning Commission with Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is basically National Institute for Transforming India. It deals with all kind of activities. For example, that Malaria Mukt Bharat campaign, or polio campaign. So, or all kind of vaccination uh, drives. So is basically controlled by Niti Aayog. So we have to build or empower primary healthcare teams. So we have to build more sub centers or more primary health centers, so that we can easily fulfill our basic need, that we can easily distribute our doctor according to our government, our population. And fourth one is training of rural healthcare professionals. So we are having according to me, government has to put some efforts in training ASHA workers in their basic. According to me, government has to give a basic training to ASHA workers, so that they can deal some little problems. For example, someone is having headache or something like this. And for fifth one is post training support and placement. As we can see, most of our doctors are just migrating to other countries after completing their education in India. The basic reason is government is not giving proper placement or proper support after their training. So according to me, government has to build more hospitals, so that they can easily give placement to their doctors or to their students after training. And fourth one and last one is launch more programs related to health. For example, as I said previously, that government has to launch more programs like Malaria Mukt Bharat, or we have to, for example, we completely eradicate polio from our country. So we have to launch more programs so that we can eradicate most of our infectious diseases from our country, and which make our country easy, which make our government easier to build a healthy nation. And at last, I want to share a thought from William London, that is to ensure good health, eat light, breathe deeply, live moderately, cultivate cheerfully, and maintain an interest in life. Thank you. Have a great day.
Great, Ankit. Good work.
Thank you, sir.
And where did you face some difficulties?
Yes, sir.
Where did you face some difficulties?
Like?
Like while presenting the points?
Okay. While presenting a point, basically, I'm doing this presentation after 5 years. I did it in last when I was in school. So it's quite difficult for me to present my thoughts or my point of views on screen. So that's why that's a little bit cozy situation for me.
Did it well.
Thank you, sir.
Now we'll do with Bhavani. Okay. So Bhavani.
Yes, sir.
Let me check if I can share with you right now. Okay, Bhavani, start.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Bhavani Meher. Today, I'm going to deliver a presentation on online education. Nowadays, it's a new attraction for students. And if we talk about what is online education, then it's a form of education in which students can get the knowledge from their teacher by online mode by using any device through internet, and they don't have to go to any brick and mortar classroom or university to get their knowledge. And in online education, student and teacher meet in the online mode through the video, and it is also two-way communication. Teacher and student can interact with each other in this system, and the interaction happens through online mode. They get the knowledge through online mode in the video. Through the video, the teacher teaches the student about everything, and it is a two type. So it's online education is basically two types: synchronous and asynchronous. In synchronous online education, teacher and students will directly interact with directly and simultaneously get contacted with each other. They communicate with each other in the online classes which are now conducted in every school, because due to this lockdown, every schools are closed, every university are closed. So they are taking synchronous classes for their students, and this in this system, in this type, no videos are available in any site or anything. They just have to attend the classes, note down whatever the teachers are teaching in the video, and they have to read it after the class. And in asynchronous online education, some teachers the teachers upload their video on on YouTube or their website or in their apps to teach students. In this system, students and teacher never meet in time or space. They just watch the video whenever they are free and they are available for to learn anything from that video. So the benefits, there are so many benefits but this online education, like flexibility in time, like the students does not have to go to the classroom for the classes. They can attend the classes by sitting in their house. They just have to make themselves available for the particular period of time. And lower cost means lower cost, it does not cost much, like students don't have to go to the college, school or college by any means or by anything. And sometimes they don't have to get admission, which cost much more that compared to the online courses. Comfortable learning environment is also available, like for if a student wants to prepare for any exams or anything, if they want to learn from offline classes, then they have to go to the particular place and they have to settle there for some times to get knowledge from any institution. But if the student wants to learn from online mode, then by sitting on their home comfortably, they learn the things for any exams. They don't have to go to any other place and face so many difficulties for this. If and the next is continuing profession. If someone is doing any type of job, or if someone is uh, busy in some works, then still they can watch videos through online mode. They can attend any class, or they still get them educated or get them able to join any exams to appear in any exam. They can make themselves educated through this online education. Like I have watched so many videos the about exams, some exams. They the toppers says that they are already any officers. Before officers are, they used to work somewhere, and they did not used to get so much time to attend any coaching centers. And that's why they joined online courses, and they got so many benefits from it. They prepared for it and also qualified the exams just because of this online courses. The topper of UPSC 2017 also said that he used to get so little amount of time to prepare for anything, but he still qualified the exam just because he used the internet in a proper way. He collected every he used to watch videos of lectures through this through his devices, and by the help of those, he got a good rank in the exam. It also saves our time from like we if we go somewhere for any education, it will waste our times. And sometimes the teachers is also not available in offline mode, so the times are really wasted for the students. And there are also demerits, some demerits of this online education, like so means only a few people take admission into this online education. Like they just it is a tradition to go to any place to get knowledge. They think like this, and they just go somewhere to get knowledge in institution, school or college, like this. Inability to focus on the screen, it's also a demerit for nowadays, because while the students are watching any videos or lectures, they just lost their focus from the screen and go to any social media or do something else while the class, whether it is synchronous classes or asynchronous classes. They just do it because they are sometimes they feel, maximum students feel uncomfortable while focusing on the screen for so many times. Some students face technology issues like network issues. In some places there are in village areas the network is very poor. Sometimes the device also does not support the link. so many issues are faced by the student. And some students also don't have that much money to buy gadgets to watch online videos through any device, and it lacks face-to-face interaction, which cause social isolation. Like while attending any class, online class, they just have to sit in a corner and just have to watch the video. And it is really different from the traditional educational method, where student and teacher used to discuss on any topic, used to interact with each other. It that's In that way it causes social isolation. And there is another many important demerit of this online education, like maximum students cheat during the exam. Cheating has become a big issue for during this online education. Maximum students are cheating during the online education, which is really bad, which will affect their future. And there are the conclusion is ICT and e-learning offers opportunity to schools, like they provide so many videos to it, and it improves to enhance their method of teaching. Uh, it is also helping to break the educational barrier, which people are so many people facing, that they are not able to go anywhere to gain knowledge or something. They face problems, like sometimes their family members don't allow them, sometimes their works does not allow them. Online education has become a boon to this type of people, and it also need a lot of improvement, like some the teacher who are teaching should communicate properly with the student. They should ask in the middle, like, what is happening during the classes, if the class is proper or not, if everything is good or not for the class. And it is the most important thing is awareness. The awareness about the online education is very less. I remember when I was in my 12th, due to some family issues, I could not attend my classes for 2-3 months. So I was behind my course for some time. At that time, I did not know about this online education, but now I know about it, and I realized that if I was known about this online education, I must have watched the videos and must have studied about the things which I missed about this online education. And this is all about the online education. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Very good, Bhavani. Everything was
Thank you,
perfect.
sir.
Yes, you made a good PPT, and your confidence level was like you are presenting very fluently.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
one. So both of you done very well, Ankit and Bhavani. Good. Now, it's time for Siley. So Siley, are you sharing the screen?
Yes, sir. I will share my screen. Sir, today's my topic. Can I start, sir?
Yes, Siley, start with hello everyone.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Saili Shah. Today's my topic is the fast food negative influence on people. We all know.
Zoom it out. Click on presentation. See point over there. Down. Scroll down. Not. Take your cursor on this TV part.
Can you show? Can I share again?
No, just take it down on a slideshow button, or else press F5. F5.
Okay.
Press F5. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Uh, we all know eating fast food isn't good for our health, but we still do it anyway. It's convenient, quick, relatively affordable, and safe in terms of knowing what you are getting. And although there is a lot of lifestyle benefits as well as in your favorite tasty food, it is damaging your short-term and long-term health also. But we still eating fast food. Uh, Common types of fast food include sweet desserts, salted snack foods, candy gum, fried fast food, carbonated beverages, milkshakes, and
Beverages.
soft. Yes, sir.
Beverages.
Beverages, right? Milkshakes and soft drinks. Fast foods can include sandwich, also burgers, chips, hot pipes, pastries, pizzas, all things. Now we will see negative effects of eating too much junk food or fast food. First point is their health complications. We know that there are the inside in that fast food dishes can be harmful to you, especially in the long run. A lot of food in options fast food contain artificial flavors, toxins, chemicals to enhance flavor and look for the product. They can increase the risk of health complications such as heart disease, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even cancer also. Second point is high in saturated fat. The alarming levels of saturated fatty acids in fast food can increase the risk of heart disease. A lot of these fats can raise your blood cholesterol levels and can increase your chances of cardiovascular disease also. Third point is never feeling full. Fast food is often served in small portion, but can contain the same amount of calories as a large meal would. This means that even though you have eaten a serving and have reached your calorie intake, you will be left wanting more. This opens the door of overeating and other poor dieting habits also. 4 point is weight gain. As fast food is very calorically dense, it's very easy to get into a calorie surplus and get weight very easily. Fast foods are often low in portion but high in fat and carbohydrates, which can lead you to gain large amounts of fat and very little muscle on your body. Fifth point is next, constipation. Fast food is relatively low in fiber, very low to be exact. This means that fast food meals sit in your stomach for a long time as a digestion is difficult and will lead to constipation also. And sixth point is addiction. Last point. Fast food can be addicting because let's face it, it tastes good. But no matter how nice something may be, addiction can never be a good thing. Not only does being addicted mean you are overeating, but it can result in poor lifestyle habits and discourage you from eating healthier or exercising more often. Conclusion of this is fast food is very popular among the teenagers because it's both tasty and also convenient. We know that fast food have negative impact on our health, but we still choose to consume fast food at least once a month. Target of audience is mostly students age 13 to 18 years. Thank you, sir.
But I don't think 13 to 18 years.
Most of,
Most of.
not
What do you
generally,
think,
but
guys?
most of, but in that age, they want cravey. They are going outside. They have a cravey of that all fast foods.
Fast
Nowadays, growing children
Baby.
are always want fast food. They want all that kurkure and chips and all that.
Yes. But we can extend the age limit till 30 to 35 or more beyond that.
But
People
sir,
love- Yeah.
after 2018, after 20, we are not a cravey. We are eating that food sometimes only, occasionally. But in college students and teenagers are continuously buying that food, and they are taking food, and they can easily purchase that food also.
But I'm above 20. I still crave for fast junk food. I eat almost daily. I used to eat almost daily before this lockdown.
So you are
Now,
daily eating it?
sir, I have now stopped it because it's not possible to make it daily in home. I used to eat outside, but now the shops are closed, so I have stopped it. I'm reducing it. I don't want to eat it. It is affecting my health as well.
Right. At some point, you have to restrict yourself.
Yes, sir.
But sir, there are some few people, they are controlling
Some
in
people.
their sorry, some people are like they are controlling themselves.
Well, some people.
Some people are there, they are controlling themselves, not all.
Not all. All right. Good one, Saili. But the thing is, you just have to elaborate everything. You just read it, everything.
Read it.
Don't mind. We'll take it again. Now. That's why I asked. Ankaj is saying not just that's not fast food, that's junk food. All right. Now, Jannat. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, sir.
Sound?
Yes, sir.
Sound? We are getting some sound from your end.
I'm not from my end. My windows are closed and everything is closed. I don't know from where the sound is coming.
Okay, continue.
Wait, shall I plug my headphone? I think because of that only. Can you hear that sound now?
Clear.
You're hearing that sound again?
No, no, no.
No, no, no.
Now you are clear.
It's
Crystal
not
clear.
clear?
Yes.
I can't see the screen. Please share it.
Wait, Jannat.
Sir, please share the screen.
Okay, Jannat, start.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheikh Jannat. I am a teacher. Today, my topic is how to be a teacher of tomorrow. According to Sir APJ Abdul Kalam, teaching is a noble profession that shapes the character, caliber, and future of an individual. If the people remember me as a good teacher, that will be a big honor for me. According to APJ Abdul Kalam sir, he's saying that teaching is a very good professional and a very big professional in which teachers are the shaper of a student. They are teacher are like model role model for the student. Because of teacher only nowadays students are able to learn lots of things. And if we know about Sir APJ Kalam and his history, he was a very good teacher also. So he's saying that if you think about a good teacher, you think about him. So I have lots of characteristic of a teacher, but I have taken some few points of it. So I'm going to elaborate with you. Ex- Expert communication skill. Teachers should have a very good communication skill, like verbal, non-verbal, and visual, which includes speaking, writing, imagining, body language, like verbal and non-verbal. Verbal is which a teacher is able to express her thought or explain everything in the way she can. And non-verbal is a communication which is shown by the action or the facial expression or something like that. And visual is like we are nowadays all are using projectors and computers. We are using that type of uh, uh, that type of visual is used while involve speaking we are continuous speaking with our students. We are continuously talking to the student. We and apart from speaking, according to me, teaching is a profession where we have to speak continuously. Apart from speaking, we are teaching lots of activities to the children, right? Like writing. We can make children imagine everything just throughout the way we are speaking. We can let them know what we are thinking, and we can express the view which we want to express with the way which we can communicate. Body language is the very important according to me, because if we are teaching in a school, in a primary, we have to teach the students kids by playing or singing or dancing. If we are teaching them a poem, so we have to dance, and we have to we have to do the action the way the poem is so telling you their thoughts. Superior listening skill. As Turkish proverb says, if speaking is silver, then listening is gold. These are the main important characteristic of teaching, because communication and listening is the very most important thing. Not everybody is a good listener, or not everybody is a good speaker. But if one is having a good communication skill or listening skill, he or she can be a very good teacher, because like this proverb is saying, speaking is silver. We can speak whatever we want. We can express our thought. We can say whatever we want, but listening carefully is also very important, because sometimes it happen like we are just continuous speaking, expressing, saying our thoughts, and we are just interacting with the students, but we are not able to understand what they are saying. We are not concentrating about what they are telling. Some of the students are like they don't understand anything. They want us to explain it, otherwise, or maybe if they don't know what I am teaching or what I am speaking, they want me to repeat that. So if I am speaking, then I have to listen that what student is saying also. The third point is the ability to develop strong relationship with student. And this is a very you know a very interesting point, that where not only in the teaching profession, in every profession we have to we have to develop a strong relationship wherever we are working. So in this case, it is applicable to teachers also. We have to build a very friendly or very good relationship with the student. That doesn't mean that we have to leave them, or we don't have to take care of them. We have to listen them, we have to observe them, we have to explain them, we have to interact them in the way they want us to interact, because not every students are same. Some are bright, some are dull. So that doesn't mean we are just focusing on the bright student, we are not focusing on the dull student. We have to take care of both the student. And bright students are they can observe everything very easily, they can grasp everything very easily. But at the same time, when it come to the dull student, it is very difficult for them to understand the thing. So if we have a good relation with them, they will be able to ask us the question. They don't have a phobia that if maybe teacher will scold me or they will beat me or punish me. It's they should not have that phobia. So it is very important to have a good relation with the student also. Friendly and approachability. Friendliness and approachability, it means like we should be like a friend. We should not be very strict. We in the old days we had a teacher very strict. She used to be very strict. She had to come in the class, she had to teach, she had to give the homework, and she used to go. But no, I think that is not a proper way or proper approach that teacher. Whenever we enter the class, we should have a big smile on the face. We should greet them, we should listen them. We should while teaching also we should have to we should call every student by their name. And we have to, when the student is answering or questioning anything, we should be very polite, and we should tell them everything very clearly. And that is the friendly type relation between student and teacher. Previously teacher used to be like very strict officer, but nowadays students also don't like that teachers. High expectation for all. Teacher is the that character from where all are expecting lots of things. Even parents are expecting, even students are expecting, even the schools are also expecting that the teacher should give her or his full effort, the whatever he is teaching. Because the teaching is that when the teacher is teaching, that shows what kind of education she or he is giving. Because at the end it comes the result comes out the way she or he is teaching. So in the slide, there are there are two types of methods which have been used. But nowadays more of them are using modern technique, but I will differentiate both of them: traditional teaching methods and modern teaching method. Classroom and teacher centralized. Long years ago back, I mean, when my forefathers were studying, at that time I used to see that in the movies. I saw that they used to have a big board, and all the children or students are sitting on the ground. They used to teach the student were sitting under the ground, or the sitting under the tree. Sorry, I messed up. So nowadays, when I was in the school, I used to see that my teacher used to come in the class. She used to stand in the platform, and she used to stand over there, and she used to explain everything over there. She used to write everything, and she used to leave the class. According to me, we don't get to interact that much with teacher, because she used to stand at a single place. And according to me, that is not right. Teacher used to roam around the class. She should see what the student is doing in the class. Because I was very mischievous, I was sitting at the back, and I used to play or do or lots of mischievous sitting behind. But teacher, what she was thinking, that I am concentrating what she is teaching. And the second point is the talk method in prevalent. Previously we don't have this digital world, we don't have this projectors, we don't have all the now modern techniques which nowadays we are using. So teacher used to bring colorful chalks, and she used to draw the chart or graph or anything she wants to, and she used to explain in that method. According to me, that also we used to feel like we used to see like this, and after that we used to forget what she taught us. And the third point is homework based education. In this the most important thing is homework based education. I think it's not proper, because there are two type of students, brilliant and dull one. The brilliant one can understand everything what she or he is teaching, but the dull one, he don't understand what is going on in the class and what teacher is telling. So the bright student used to do their homework as the teacher has taught, but the dull one, they don't know what to do. They used to take the guide and they used to copy. So this homework based education is very old type of education. Restricted, organized, and controlled classroom. The classroom was like organized as it was. All that was charts and all the paintings which they used to tell us, sketch this one, bring this diagram, make this diagram, and they used to put all that. And I think it is like a portion. They need to change everything as the portion goes on. And that time also we had like I even now I feel like I have what I have studied in past. is compared to now, children are doing much more better than us. So that was like very controlled and very simply teaching. And the last point is no group learning and problem solving session. This is the very important one, because we need to do group studies, because when we are doing a group studies, in at that time we involve bright student and dull student as well. At that, in that time we can understand how much the student is understanding, which student can do best, and which student don't understand anything. The next term is modern teaching method. Classroom are being occupied with technology. Nowadays, we can see that all the classrooms are occupied with blackboards, projectors, and they are like cartoons and ABCD alphabets all drawn. It's so creative that even I feel like now I should do the study now, because students are getting attracted because of these technologies and the way the classroom is presented. Interactive whiteboard. Previously we used to have a blackboard, chalks. Nowadays we have whiteboard in which they are using the green or black marker. That is very attractive. Also we can use lot of colorful sketch markers also, but this board is very according to me, this board is good. And it is previously we had to use chalk and duster. Dust used to come on children and they may have eyesight problems and sinus and all that, but because of this board, students are not having any kind of side effect. Active based and gaming based learning. Nowadays what you happen, teachers, they are giving lots of projects. They are creating lots of gaming, like learning, like flashcards. They are coming with lots of creativities. Even teacher have to make a creation on what she or he is going to teach. This is the very active based learning, and children get involved in this, and they are very excited to come to school every day. And they learn lots of things also, because they are teaching in such a way that everything they can understand and they can grasp. You can even you can ask them later, they will answer you. But previously it doesn't. Teacher, yes, teacher has taught it, but I don't remember. But nowadays teacher, if we show tell them teacher has taught you by showing the flashcard, yes, I remember. Students are like very bright nowadays, emphasizing on practical knowledge more. Nowadays teacher are focusing more on like projects, activities. They are making student independent by giving this all the projects, and telling them to do a lot of creativity. Maybe parents think it is burden for them. According to a point of view, as a teacher, I think this is very beneficial. They are doing everything by their own. They know how to prepare the project, how to interact with the outside societies, or maybe outside world. Apart from their home school, they can interact with outside their societies. Cooperative, next last one is cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is like a group studies. Nowadays all of them are doing group studies. They By doing group studies, they are learning lots of things from the bright students also. And teacher can understand that they are doing well. So I think cooperative learning is very important also. In conclusion, like, we are living in the 21st century. Most of the schools have already adopted modern teaching methods. Because of that, we can see lots of changes in students. Yes, as we are living in the 21st century, we are very used to our mobile phone, laptops, and technology. So, because of this modern teaching method, students are so bright. Students are so active and interacting with all the things. They know how to use the phone. They know how to use the Zoom meeting. They automatically doing everything by their own, because the way the teacher is teaching them, the way teacher is creating all the ideas in them, they are so independent that they can do whatever they want. According to me, this modern teaching method is very good for the teacher. And I would like to give you one example. Yesterday I was reading a newspaper. In that I have read one article that Nawab, you might be knowing the actor Nawabuddin Siddiqui. Nawazuddin Siddiqui, he is so curious about his their son studies, that he is shifting whole family to Dubai. Because nowadays, because of this pandemic, students are not learning anything, just wasting their time sitting on the laptop playing games or something, doing something different. He is so curious that he want to shift to Dubai, but he is telling that statement, I want to I am shifting my family to Dubai because I am very curious and I want to be a very good father. That's why I want my children to do well. That's why I am shifting my family to Dubai, just because he want his child to be good in the education. And apart from that, he is adding one more point that in future anyhow I am going to shift my children abroad for doing the study. So I am doing right now, means he is so curious that he want his students to learn, children to learn everything. And he is telling that he want a physical class. I told you previously that physical class is also very important. The environment the teachers are creating is very awesome, so every child want to learn in that environment. The second point is, by adopting modern methods as the teacher of tomorrow, make a difference to somebody's life. Being adopting modern teaching method means, as we are adopted a modern teaching technique, we are creating lots of differences in everybody's life. Now I will give you one example. Like, my father don't know how to do the online payment, but my niece or nephew, they know how to do the bank transfer. They know how to use the GPay. So this is the big differences which teacher are creating through the technology. And then lastly, I would like to say, teaching is the one profession that creates all other profession. Teaching is just only one profession in the earth that create all other profession. Means the teaching is such a big profession. I really very feel very proud of myself that I am a teacher, and I really thank you so much that, sir, you are also a very good teacher also. I have done with it. Thank you, sir. So I would like to say something. You record that also, because of this presentation which assignment sir has given us. Because of this, I have learned the thing which I have left behind. I have learned this, creating this PPT, and when I was in 10th standard. Maybe it is 10 or 12 years which I have learned, but I have never used it. Just because of my sir, which he has given me the assignment, because of that I created this PPT by my own, and I feel so happy and glad that I am able to do this thing still, and I feel very happy. Thank you so much, sir.
It's my pleasure, Jannat.
And I truly feel that you are also a very good tutor.
Thank you for that advice. Thank you for that compliment. Sorry.
Welcome, sir. And I would like to say that this was the first presentation in my whole life. This sir has given an opportunity to speak to give the presentation. I feel proud of it that I can speak the way I am today, and it's all because of you, sir.
See, the purpose of my doing this PPT is, I want you guys to show your skills, show your communication in front of other people, in front of, like, we are explaining something to other people. This is the way you can manipulate your communication skills
Yes.
always.
Sir, I did mistake.
And about the Siley, yes, Siley, you did it very well.
I'm only reading.
So I would like to say something to Saili. Until and unless you do the mistake, you are not going to learn. Remember that, and don't say that I have made a mistake. You just think in the mind, and then next time you do, don't make that mistake.
Yes, actually, I today only read all things.
Okay, but at least you prepared for the PPT session.
Sir, I prepared, but I feel very bad.
Please
It's
don't
okay.
do.
Next time you will do
Yes.
well.
But
Yes, sir.
in all, yes, Jannat, you did it well. Entire PPT was good.
Very nice.
Made everything.
Very nicely you explain all things.
Even if someone can see this on the first time, then they can able to understand what is going on in this presentation.
Yes.
Yes, that was
Actually, you know what? I was little scared because it was not able to open the PPT by the laptop. So I was feeling what I am going to do now. But it's fine. I did well.
Did well. From Ankit till you, yes. Everyone, Ankit, Bhavani, Saili, and you, Jannat. You all did it well. And I must say, and I appreciate that. Ankit,
I'm
Yes,
like
sir.
on the cloud
Thank you,
nine
sir.
today.
how was the entire experience of doing presentation? Ankit,
When Bhavani starts, and I like, ये बोलती भी है.
He
That
was
is why,
texting me saying that Bhavani speak also.
because she's speaking so fluently, and so that's a good experience with everyone, and it's like a good activity to express our views on every particular topic. So according to me, it's a good experience. It's a good activity.
great. Good one.
Again, I would like to say thank you to you, Prasad sir and Neil sir, that they have given an opportunity to do this activity.
I'll convey your message to him.
Yeah, sure. I thought he might be joining us, but I don't know why he left.
I'm listening to you guys.
My God, he's there, but we can't see you.
It's like I can see all of you, but you can't see me.
Maybe he is with Prasad sir.
Okay.
No, I've joined the meeting. You're joining it soon. And yes, Bhavani,
Yes, sir.
how was the experience?
It was really good, sir. I also attend one presentation in my college, but it was better than that presentation because in this presentation I speak more, I spoke more, I describe more than my last presentation. It was a really good it was really good experience, and I also think that I would have I would have spoken more, but I did not.
What you Saili,
Yes, sir.
what challenges you faced?
Yes, sir.
What challenges you faced?
Sir, actually, it's my first time presentation I did. In my college also, I'm give that types of presentation. Actually, in morning, my husband told me, "Ki you explain all things in PPT. You have to elaborate all things. Only you have to mention points that." But I didn't get time after morning to afternoon. So I think I have to now a time I have to do like that only. Next time I will changes
Prepare more.
change. Yeah, prepare more for all points.
Okay. Jannat, what challenges you faced?
Actually, I didn't face any challenges because I am a teacher. I know the topic very well. It was very easy for me to convey my ideas and thought. But at the starting, I was feeling a little nervous. But later on, I was finding it very fine to speak. So it was very easy, and I'm so happy. I can't explain you how joyful I am because in my whole life, this is the one presentation which I have done. Even I have completed my MBA. Only one time I have given the presentation in Times of India's building. After that, I have got an opportunity to speak and present myself and my thoughts. So I am very happy. Thank you so much.